portrait of a woman. She is simmering the oatmeal for breakfast. The early morning light, the wooden spoon in her hand, her hips rocking back and forth, the pink pajama bottoms, a white pullover. 40 years we have found these ordinary rituals, a matrimonial dance. And at night, she is the warm body next to mine. We are happy to be animals together. That too is beautiful. Afloat on this side of nothing, emptiness, whatever you want to call it. She snores some, and some nights she farts in her sleep. It actually reads grunts in her sleep. In memory of the famous poet, 2010, being a famous poet is not like being famous. John Ashbery. If I moved 3 miles south into Mexico, I live in El Paso, I could be shot for being a poet. In fact, I could be shot for being alive. Dead, I would be innocent. That's what Amado Carrillo Fuentes said. Only the dead are innocent. He died on an operating table trying to get a new face. He no longer wanted to be himself. But Amado was not a poet. He was a narco-trafficante and a murderer, a vicious and evil man. Although now he is innocent according to his own definition. Me, I could be dead for the sin of being a poet, for the sin of being alive, guilty as charged. Maybe I would be famous then, at least for a couple of days. My wife would be weeping on CNN. She'd sell a few of my poetry books. A short history of our marriage for our grandchildren. Forgive us. We didn't have a plan. We had instead a blue Ford window van. 1960 6-cylinder. Sometimes we took out the back seat and put in a mattress or a raggedy couch. Once we put in everything we owned, even that black R60 BMW motorcycle. We headed off to God knows where, Colorado it turned out, and 3 kids who became your mother or fathers, your aunt, your uncles. Somewhere we have an old suitcase where we put all of our secrets, but don't go looking for it. The suitcase doesn't exist. It is only words, like these are my words. Your grandmother has her own words. Her own words tell the same story, but her story is different. That's the way we all are. I hope someday you understand. Message to grandkids. Toilets are eloquent, and they speak the truth. Remember that. And so to my growing up, which was not very pleasant, especially for my mother. But it was a remarkable gift to grow up in Memphis in a lot of ways. But this is how we became drunks. Memphis, the 1950s. Nothing ever worked exactly right. That's a line from my friend Harvey Goldner. Douglas smoked Cools. Harvey smoked Chesterfields and Luckies. I smoked Camels and Luckies. Jimmy smoked Luckies and Pall Malls. Douglas's father was dead. My father was dead. Harvey's father was a wimpy drunk. Jimmy's father was a mean drunk. Douglas liked to masturbate into his sock. Jimmy never confessed. Harvey said he'd do it anywhere, anyhow. I like lying in bed with a warm, damp wash rag. My mother sold real estate. Douglas's mother was a secretary. Harvey's mother was a housewife. Jimmy's mother worked in a bank. Douglas worked in a pet store after school. Harvey wrote poems about death. I liked sleeping with a gun. Jimmy hated his father. Mother sent me to private school. Douglas shot himself in the leg playing quick draw. Jimmy joined the army. Harvey was reading Burroughs and Ritchie. Jimmy came home in a box. Harvey was a pallbearer. I was a pallbearer. Douglas was a pallbearer. The army said it was an accident. We said he killed himself. His mother said the same thing. The end. There's a wonderful book called Back Roads to Far Towns. It's published by White Pine Publishing Company. It's a beautiful little book, and if you know haiku, you know this poet Basho. And Basho took this long journey around Japan, where he very much didn't feel like he was going to make it back. He was an old man, but he took these marvelous journeys, and he would stop and visit friends, and they would talk and drink some wine, and he would write haiku or write into his journal. It's an incredible book if you get a chance to read it. It was on my reading table for a long time. This is called Back Roads to Far Towns. I wish old Basho would come to my house, especially when it's winter, a paltry desert winter, warm enough this evening to sit outside in the city night, huddled up in a warm jacket and a good hat. The trees bare-boned, old Basho and me. We will drink some wine, a bottle of the 749 Merlot from the 7-Eleven, the one with the yellow kangaroo, and we'll swap some stories. Like that one about the frog jumping into the pond. Splash! What's the story behind that, huh? Or maybe he'll want to know what it's like to be pissing in the backyard with my two sons. The half moon like a Chinese coin. Ha! We'll sit there on our sorry asses, open mouthed at the beauty of a dying cockroach. We'll write a few poems, 3-liner thingamabobs, old man fingers, useless 3x5 index cards I'll lose somewhere. Why not? The gate swings open and shut, open and shut, open and shut. The cockroach is the gatekeeper. Basho and me, we will empty that bottle of wine. Enough, he says, is always exactly enough. That's a good one, I say, and we giggle. And the big bright moon dodges back and forth behind the clouds. The guy said, I hope you know some of these poets. I listed a number of poets who were important to my own writing. Jimmy Schuller, Frank O'Hara, Eileen Miles, and of course Walt Whitman and Philip Whalen. The guy said I let my poems go on too long. I told him I shouldn't have read Jimmy Schuler. I shouldn't have read Frank O'Hara. I shouldn't have read Eileen Miles. Even Walt Whitman, that old fart, he smelled like dirt. Why is Philip Whalen staring at the white stucco wall? And they're all queer. Their sexual memory twisting the syntax down into the rabbit hole under the tree. Alice, 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 where are you? I loved you. Bite me, eat me, love you, love me. Otherwise, my life is ordinary. House sparrows and house finches. Once I was looking out the bedroom window, a Baltimore Oriole bright like a black and yellow flag among the leaves. Then that one morning, a smallish hawk, I think it was a Cooper's, I don't know for sure. I was so excited, my heart pumping. The backyard was quiet. All the little birds had disappeared into the silence of their chatter. The window into our bedroom, Lee and I have made sacred with our lovemaking, our disappointments, our sorrows, like clouds passing through the desert sky. And so we have grown old, the proof of the pudding. The light changes, morning light, electric light, candle light. Jimmy Schuler would understand. He sits on a sofa on the cover of a book. Frank is lost forever on Fire Island. Eileen is walking Rosie, her dog, in her poem head. Philip is dead asleep on his Zafu. Heroic Walt is sniffing at his underarms. Always the sky and the earth. So what if a poem goes on too long? It's not my fault. This is a poem in memory of Wayne Crawford, who died. He was a Las Cruces poet. He moved from Illinois to Las Cruces. He had a wife and a family, and he was gay. And so he got to Las Cruces, and he made the decision of his life to come out. And it was a terrible thing. It was terrible for his wife, his children, and for him. But he was adamant that he would live the rest of his life as a gay man. And he was a real influence, a real important figure for a few years in southern New Mexico poetry. And he got sick and he died. Please, let me say that Wayne has gone away. Let me read his dead poet poems. Let me fry these other fish. Please, let me stuff myself with fagioli. Let me parsley and parmesan. Let me and all poets tell their story. Let Wayne tell a story, how it began in one place and it ends in another. Please take a tip from me. Please let me put the pieces back together. Please let me Howdy Doody. Let me Buffalo Bob and Clarabelle too. Let me Muddy Waters and Jimmy Reed. Let me Lee Poe and Wang Wei. And like Wayne, let me Superman and let me Lois too. Please let me look inside that closet door. Let me say goodbye. Let me say hello. Please let me say hello. Goodbye too. Please let this light shine inside. The sunlight and the candlelight. The light to read a book by. Just a little bit of light for love making. Light for the flute light. For the song light to sing along. Light, more light, less light. And so no light. Wayne has left the light, the room, the house. He has gone outside. He has emptied his pockets. He has said goodbye. The light is gone from his eyes. Please let us say goodbye. And yes, when the time does come, please let us all go through that door with grace. Please let us be excused. Please let us go outside. Let the light be exhausted from our eyes. Please please let us go, you and me. Let us be excused. Let us go outside. And thank you. Yes, thank you, Wayne. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Wayne. Thank you. You have gone outside. You have gone outside. Thank you. And so, goodbye. Talking to my wife while she is away at church. Remember that pear tree in Santa Rosa? That was a long time ago. 30 years and something. It was in August, like this is August. Susie was 3 or 4. The fields were so hot and dusty. The Pecos River was a sad little stream that summer. But in the shade of that big pear tree, the flies and the bugs, like you and me, were busy feeding on the juicy pears. Gurdjieff had sent us and our friends to that place. Him and that weird Russian guy, Uspensky. I won't tell that story. It's way, way too long. Let me just say we were out there in the heat and dust in search of the miraculous. It was right there in front of us all the time. Those pears, the bugs and the heat, our friends, our daughter Susie, her brothers to come, you and me. I wish you were home this morning. Already it's so hot. I promise not to argue about God anymore. I just want to remind you about those flies and bugs, the Pecos River and where it came from and where it was going. I want to talk about those delicious pears. I make a good pot of beans. Christians like my beans. Right wing, left wing, we like my beans. Buddhists like my beans. Muslims and Jews like my beans. Agnostics and atheists like my beans. Mexicans and gringos. Vegetarians and meat eaters. Phyllis and Bill like my beans. And I know, and does Megan like my beans? Yes, Megan likes my beans. They all like my beans. Even the drunks down the street like my beans. And I know some politicians who like my beans. Likewise, some ex-cons and thieves, friends of mine, all of them. Poets, of course, like my beans. Perhaps some novelists, who knows. A few holy men, a few holy women. Not too many wise folks out there. Be careful who you listen to. My kids and grandkids like my beans. My wife likes my beans. She really likes it when I cook my beans. Write me a letter. A real letter, the old-fashioned way. Buy a stamp, a postcard. I'll send you the recipe for my beans. Memo number 34. Getting old is like, well, it's like getting old. That's what I told her. She laughed. I guess it follows that death is like death. But I didn't say that. Our dinner was black beans and a salad. Cornbread baked in a cast iron skillet with lots of butter. Real butter. We split a bottle of red wine from somewhere in Spain. Now I've washed all the dishes. That's my job. She's asleep. I'm sitting on the front porch and the November moon is almost full. Thank you guys very much.